Paul Theron now joins us from Vestact. Thank you, Paul, for joining us.
I'm here.
So have you heard of youth unemployment? Because
No.
Because you're saying that a great solution is to raise the retirement age of everyone, but you're forgetting one thing: that the youth will not be included in the jobs market because everyone's going to be working until they probably, what do you expect, 98?
No, the youth must just employ each other on Facebook, I think. The issue started out as a joke, and now people like you are taking it far too seriously. The Russians, of course, have raised their retirement age to something like 56 or something, but the life expectancy for males in Russia is like 53 years. So that's fabulous. Then somebody said, you know, the fact is, the point with South Africa is that our life expectancy is 53 years. But here in South Africa, if you're a man, you can only get a state pension, which is about 1,000 Rand a month. So don't get excited. That only kicks in at 62. So. Okay,
so we had a viewer calling in. Thank you very much, viewer, for calling in. Let's just reiterate where the JSE actually closed today. It was down 1.3%, and let's just get that JSE graph up, ending the day above around 30,000 points. Of course, we unfortunately don't have that right graph up, but it is down 1.3% for the day. Paul, let's
what did you tell them that it was?
It was definitely down 1.3%, but I can't really remember what the closing price was.
Yeah, no, it's not important. You know,
no, but we were down, so that's pretty sad. So, interbank stresses.
Yes, no, you know, everybody's...
6 big banks are going to be stress tested in the US.
But remember, this sounds like an absolute disaster. People say, oh my goodness, the banks are not exchanging money with each other anymore. But remember, for a primer on monetary economics, the way that works then is they talk about the central banks hosing everybody down with liquidity. It sounds very exciting, but what it really means is that banks can then deal with their, you know, Federal Reserve or their equivalent of the central bank. So don't get excited, don't be anxious, everything will be all right.
If you're wondering what the beeping the sound was, it's Paul's iPhone, which he has.
It's my pacemaker. Yes, yes.
Inflation at 6% in South Africa. What are you expecting with regards to that going forward? It's not a good number.
Mental note for those people that have lots of employees. I saw an interesting tweet from Maya Fisher-French. Yeah. She said, working people, by which she means, you know, low wage people, their inflation rate's apparently 7.8%. That's because if you take food and you take petrol, diesel, you know, fuel, that's a big part of people's transport expenses. It's actually at 7.8. I mean, it's interesting, is it? Everybody's got their own inflation rate. My inflation rate is very low because the only thing I buy are like electronic devices. And those get cheaper every year.
Suit, though, Paul?
Oh, yes, you see, it suits this one. $50 in New York City.
So Fitch cutting Turkey's outlook, not great news.
That's actually a joke. Thanksgiving tomorrow in America. For the last 4 years running, apparently Fitch, there must be somebody with a sense of humor there, cutting Turkey's ratings ahead of Thanksgiving. Yeah, you know, how many turkeys been slaughtered over the week, you know?
Very tragic, Paul. 10-year paper that has been an auction in Germany today, not met with great appetite. Is that a concern? Because we're seeing borrowing costs increasing in France. This contagion that we've been talking about, it's really evident in the yields that we see in Europe. It's manifesting in that way. Yeah,
I was ranting like a madman in our offices today because people hold these things out as indication that the apocalypse is on us, you know, with regard to financial markets. Germans can't even sell their bonds. But understand that there are times when people are very attracted to one or other financial asset. So the demand wasn't enormous for some German, you know, bond auction. Don't then imagine that that constitutes the economy and that this is the beginning of the end.
If it happens calm down. 3 times, then would you be concerned?
Well, we'll see what the rates do, but the rates are lower than they were 3 or 4 months ago. So they're getting them away at rates lower than they were 3 or 4 months ago.